all remember Michael Avenatti, my dark horse pick for the 2020 presidential election. And he was my dark horse because he was the most militant of the Democrats. He was the guy who kept talking about punching President Trump, and I've got to hit back, and we got to punch twice as hard. And when they go low, then we punch back, and all this kind of stuff. Well, it turns out that there are now allegations that he didn't just punch back against President Trump, he punched back against a woman. Here are the allegations, courtesy of KTLA. Michael Avenatti, who skyrocketed to fame as a critic of President Donald Trump and the lawyer for porn actress Stormy Daniels, was arrested on Wednesday and booked on a felony domestic violence charge, according to the LAPD. Now, you'll recall that Michael Avenatti is also the guy who trotted out Julie Swetnick to claim that Brett Kavanaugh had been involved in gang rape, that Brett Kavanaugh, who's now justice on the Supreme Court, had been involved in getting girls drunk or drugged at parties, and then he had involved himself in gang rape trains. And Michael Avenatti pushed all that out there, and Democrats jumped on it because Michael Avenatti is their friend. Michael Avenatti is somebody who says mean things about President Trump, and that's our only standard for good people now. If you say something mean about President Trump, this means inherently you're a good person. Well, in this case, it turns out that Michael Avenatti, the evidence isn't in, right? We don't know. We don't know. Presumption of innocence applies. Michael Avenatti, we don't know whether he's guilty or whether he is innocent in a court of law. But it's kind of ironic that a guy who suggested believe all women is now saying, well, don't believe this one over here with the black eye. The alleged victim in the case had visible injuries, according to Officer Tony Im, a police spokesman. Avenatti slammed the allegation as completely bogus and fabricated and meant to do harm to my reputation in a statement released by his law firm. Avenatti says he's mulling a 2020 presidential run. He posted $50,000 bail and was released about 4 hours after being arrested on the same block where he lives in a skyscraper apartment on Santa Monica Boulevard in Century City. Police didn't provide any details about the alleged victim, including that person's relationship to Avenatti. And here is what Avenatti had to say after being released on $50,000 bail.
I have never struck a woman. I never will strike a woman. I have been an advocate for women's rights my entire career, and I'm going to continue to be an advocate. I am not going to be intimidated from stopping what I am doing.
Believe all women, except that one, who I allegedly hit. Don't believe her. She's a liar. So this is all going very well for Michael Avenatti. Avenatti, by the way, is now, he says he'll be fully exonerated, and he suggested that the woman hit him first, apparently. This was apparently one of the suggestions. Stormy Daniels, who, of course, is the great feminist of our time, has released a statement on the incident saying these are serious and obviously very troubling allegations, but right now that is all they are, allegations. We should all reserve judgment until the investigation, an investigation Michael has said he welcomes, is complete. And that's what I'm going to do. Agree. But kind of weird coming from the same people who said that Brett Kavanaugh should be run out of town on a rail, lose his Supreme Court judgeship, lose his actual life, career, family on the basis of unverified and unverifiable allegations that are now being investigated by the Senate Judiciary Committee for being false, probably, the Julie Swetnick allegations, which are now under full investigation by the Senate. Apparently, this is according to TMZ, the alleged incident occurred Tuesday night, but there was another confrontation on Wednesday between the two at an exclusive apartment building in the Century City area of Los Angeles. Law enforcement sources say Avenatti was arrested Wednesday after a woman filed a felony domestic violence report. The TMZ folks were told her face was swollen and bruised with red marks on both cheeks. Security apparently, here's what TMZ says. We're told Wednesday afternoon the woman was on the sidewalk on her cell phone with sunglasses covering her eyes, sobbing and screaming on the phone. I can't believe you did this to me. I'm going to get a restraining order against you. We're told security brought her inside the building, took her upstairs, and Michael showed up 5 minutes later and ran into the building. He screamed repeatedly, "She hit me first." So that's great. "She hit me first," by the way, is not an actual defense to domestic violence allegations. He apparently then angrily added, "This is BS. This is effing BS." We're told he tried getting into the elevator, but security then denied him access. And then cops showed up and escorted Avenatti into a corner of the apartment lobby and spoke with him for 5 to 10 minutes before taking him into custody. A law enforcement source said on Tuesday that Avenatti kicked this woman out of the apartment, and that's when the alleged domestic violence occurred. And then she went back to the apartment on Wednesday to retrieve her belongings and called police to stand by in case things got heated. So good stuff all the way around. Avenatti, for his part, is now blaming Jacob Wohl. So all of the storylines are colliding. The writers of season 4 of Trump, and I will say this, they really know how to ratchet up the tension and bring back old storylines that we'd forgotten about, like Michael Avenatti and Brett Kavanaugh. Like, we were beyond those storylines. And then the writers were like, you know what? Let's bring that back. Let's bring that back. Like, whoa, good callback, writers. So Jacob Wool, right? That was a story like 3 weeks ago. And we're like, okay, let's see if we can somehow intertwine these strands and really build this thing to an epic conclusion for the second or third episode of season 4 of Trump, the show. So Michael Avenatti apparently is now blaming Jacob Wool. Jacob Wool, you'll recall, is a big Trump supporter who was recently implicated in accusations that he was attempting to falsely malign Robert Mueller, suggest that Robert Mueller was responsible for some sort of rape allegations, extramarital affairs, and Wool had created this entire fake intelligence company apparatus that was gonna reveal the deep, dark truth about Robert Mueller. Well, now Avenatti is blaming Jacob Wool. So this is kind of awesome. He says on Twitter, first Mueller and now me. When we are fully exonerated, I am coming for you, Jacob Wool, a.k.a. Surefire. So all of these strands are being brought back together once again. Surefire then retweeted a report about the case with an additional comment, Surefire intelligence strikes again. So that's great. If it turns out that Jacob Wool is behind a false allegation about Michael Avenatti, then we get to watch the world explode again. And then Michael Avenatti becomes a front runner again. So who the hell knows? But if it turns out that all this is false and Jacob Wool made it up about Michael Avenatti, then Michael Avenatti shoots back to the top of the heap. That's how our presidential politics go these days. And there are a few lessons to be learned here. One, you know what's great in the United States? Due process and the presumption of innocence. Those things are awesome. And maybe Michael Avenatti and Democrats will learn a valuable lesson here, that regardless of your political leanings, it's good that we have a system that protects your innocence until you are proven guilty. Number two, what the hell is going on? Maybe that's what we should learn. What is going on? What? Lesson number three, if a guy ever says believe all women and he just spends all his time shouting believe all women, I would say that a certain amount of the time, those are the guys that you should trust the least with women, because honest to goodness, that is such a virtue signaling position that makes no sense in the real world, that it makes you suspicious of the person who says it in the first place. So all of this is absolutely delightful, obviously. And by delightful, I mean garbage, but welcome to the world of Trump season 4. Obviously, this has nothing to do with President Trump. It's just that everything is crazy. Okay, meanwhile, I have to make a note on, it's kind of a tag note on this Amazon moving to New York and Washington, D.C. story, to Crystal City. This is pretty spectacular. So New York and Virginia collectively have offered more than $2 billion in tax credits, rebates, and other incentives to attract Amazon. And as I mentioned when I discussed Amazon yesterday and the day before, I said it's kind of ironic that Democrats have suddenly realized that if you lower taxes and allow people more freedom without regulation, that it attracts businesses. Suddenly they are saying this about Amazon. So it's okay to have low taxes for Amazon, but everybody else has to pay higher taxes. I do love this. So Governor Andrew Cuomo was asked about this because he's a Democrat. And a lot of Democrats were saying, Governor Cuomo, you say corporations are bad and they don't pay a high enough tax rate, and then you're giving all sorts of goodies to Amazon. So what's the deal, Governor Cuomo? So Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is in a running gun battle with his brother Chris Cuomo for dumbest Cuomo brother, he defended the deal. He argued that New York has to offer incentives because of its comparatively high taxes. No, you think? Maybe your taxes are too high and that's why you have to offer special tax breaks to get businesses to move in? I love this. He says that the lack of self-awareness here is just tremendous. I love it so much. So here is what Governor Cuomo said. He said, quote, "It's not a level playing field to begin with. All things being equal, if we do nothing, they're going to Texas." Right. These are your policies, my friend. These are the policies that are... And if you're a business in New York, all you should do is now go over to de Blasio's office and go over to Cuomo's office and say, listen, we're investigating moving to Texas. How about you give us a tax break? And Cuomo will be like, well, we're not very competitive. Maybe we should give a tax break to that company. So this is what I urge every business in the city of New York to do. Go over to the offices of Andrew Cuomo right now and threaten to move to Texas. Get a P.O. box in Dallas or something. And then go over to de Blasio's office, hand him a groundhog and say to him, Mayor de Blasio, we're going to leave unless you give us some sort of tax breaks. And presumably the tax breaks will then be forthcoming. So pretty great stuff from the Democrats. Other great stuff from the Democrats with regard to Amazon. I do love this so much. And so there are a bunch of cities that were trying to lure Amazon. And BuzzFeed News has sort of a rundown on what those cities were offering Amazon in order to lure them there for their second headquarters. I love it so much. I'm going to explain in just 1 second. But first, let's talk about how you manage your money. So Betterment is the smart way to manage your money. It's an investing tool for people who refuse to settle for average investing. It's cutting-edge technology combined with human expertise. Now, I'm a person who leaves financial management to people who are more expert than I, but not everybody can afford that sort of thing. And this is why you need Betterment. It's technology designed to help you make more from your investments. Unlimited expert advice designed to help you make smart financial decisions. Tax-efficient investing strategies that give you an edge. Low transparent fees, constant access to information, tools that allow you to track progress toward your goals so you can always feel like a smart, savvy investor. Betterment is your online financial advisor, and it helps you outsmart average. Sign up today. Get up to 1 year managed for free. Betterment helps you outsmart average. Investing, of course, involves risk, but Ben Shapiro Show listeners can get up to 1 year managed for free right now. For more information, visit betterment.com.